Rhody Strength podcast is now brought to you by Rob Levine, the heavy hitter. We've been really happy to have them jump on as a sponsor. I've personally used them this past year. My wife was in a car accident, and they were able to help us along every step of the way through getting properly compensated, making sure we weren't getting taken advantage of by the car insurance companies, and helping through with medical payments. So if you've been in a car accident, it's definitely worthwhile. Just pick up the phone and see how they can help. The Rhody Strength podcast is now sponsored by Athletic Painting and Carpentry. For all of your exterior painting, interior painting, cabinet and door resurfacing, cabinet installation, cabinet remodel, floor refinishing, carpentry, lead renovation, and power washing needs. Give them a call at 401-675-7973. Follow them on Instagram at athletic_painting_ and follow them on Facebook at Athletic Painting and Carpentry. They are an honest, local Rhode Island company that does great work. Dr. Matt here, host of the Rhody Strength podcast. We have two special guests on today, Lindy Scott of Float, Rhode Island. I just did the float tank, came out of it, 10 minutes ago, maybe something like that. So I'm very relaxed, just coming out of a meditative state, so this will be a fun podcast.
Yes, for sure.
So to start these off, I'd like to start with some rapid fire questions. These are mostly just fun for me, but I think the listeners enjoy them too.
Okay.
So first one we got, and you guys can both give separate answers or same answer if you'd like. Favorite coffee shop?
God, I'm I hate saying this, but it's going to be Dunkin' Donuts.
Hey, no, that's a good answer.
Yeah. For real. I'm being real.
Yeah.
It's easy and convenient. Yeah, that's probably our daily go-to. I love a good Starbucks.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Starbucks is like a splurge.
Yes.
You know, it feels like it's like
feeling fancy today.
I'm feeling fancy today. Like I gotta wear a suit.
You're right. Next one we got, and if you're more of a podcaster or movie buff, you can swap this out. But favorite recent book or just a favorite book that you've read?
Well, my recent book was Empire of the Summer Moon.
Okay.
It was about the Comanches and the end of their probably 1800s to the very end, and the last chief of the Comanches, which is really fascinating.
Sweet. Comanche. What
Comanche.
is that? Is that a tribe?
Indian tribe?
Indian tribe.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool. In the U.S.
Called Empire of the Summer Moon. Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's about
really
the end.
cool.
It's about the end of their tribe, basically, and what kind of fierce warriors they were, and it was pretty eye opening as far as how they took prisoners and how they were feared among a lot of the settlers, and it was wild.
That's cool.
And the Texas Rangers are the ones that finally overcame. That's why the Texas Rangers were actually made.
Gotcha.
To combat that effort, yeah. So it's
very
a cool book.
It's not to get too off track, but
sorry,
already...
sorry,
sorry,
guys.
I got something to add on to that.
You asked.
Someone I had on the podcast recently, or not super recently, but last year, Kelly Surratt. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his stuff. He's a PT in the in the CrossFit world, but he had a similar book about I'm gonna forget the name of it, but it was about the American history, but told from the Native American standpoint of view. Mm-hmm. So I forget.
It might be the same.
I forget the name
book,
of it.
By the way,
it's I think it was a Scandinavian guy who's the author or something like that.
I don't remember the author.
It could have been the same book, but yeah, good. Yeah. So that might be a repeat.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, right.
Do you have a recent book that you've liked?
So I listen to a lot of podcasts. Right now, I'm currently reading. It's called The Green Witch.
Okay.
Which
Love
is
it.
just how to use nature to help you get through.
Sweet.
But I'm a Huberman Lab podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's talked about float tanks quite a bit on his podcast.
He hasn't. A thing just came across our FTA, the Float Tank Association. They're trying to get Dr. Justin Feinstein, who's leading the work in float therapy.
Sure.
So there's a little push to try and get him on there. I would love to see.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't, because he's talked about a ton
red light
of
therapy, all that stuff.
Cold
I've heard him all talk about that
exposure.
stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but he's no float.
Yeah, interesting.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
I'm sure he will.
I mean, Rogan talks about float, and I heard Rogan talk about float with Huberman too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I've heard Huberman talk about it on his podcast.
On his, yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And next question: somewhere you've traveled recently?
We went to Florida. Probably we haven't traveled much because of being business owners. You get all the time in the world. By the way, just letting you know. But being a business owner, we've obviously been very busy. But Before that, we right before we got the company, we went to Florida.
Cool.
Picked up our dog Dallas, who
Awesome.
is a
All
white
right.
Swiss Shepherd. So we got him in Florida. We flew down and we basically had a big Universal / Disney / did we do SeaWorld?
No.
I know we didn't do SeaWorld, but we did the other two. And we had a great time.
That's
Fabulous
awesome.
vacation. And that's
And got our pup.
we got our pup on the way
That's
back
awesome.
and flew him back on a plane, which was super stressful for anybody who wants to do
Really?
that. Yeah, that was
Did
crazy.
he have to fly under, or was he with you guys?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, but we didn't. When we got him, he was supposed to be 8 weeks, and I think we were 9 weeks,
Yeah.
10
about
weeks.
a-
He was a lot bigger. He was
He's
huge.
a very
He's
big
a very
puppy.
big dog. He's
Yeah.
a very big dog. So yeah, but he's a good boy. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love
all
it.
as well. So that's our last trip.
Cool. Next question: favorite shoe or sneaker? Could be like for gym, fitness, or just kind of like walk around. What do you like?
I'm on a New Balance kick right now.
All right,
I
nice.
love that they're. I think most of them are made in the USA, which is
That helps. Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
But I'm always on the hunt for super comfy. The older I get, I'm like, I need support. I need comfy
Yeah.
shoes.
I like these slip-ons.
Yeah.
The Skechers slip-ons I got, man, they're really good.
Those are
They're
great.
really good. Yeah, they're easy too. I'm lazy when it comes to shoes.
Love it. Great
Yeah,
answer.
Yeah.
How do you like your nobles?
I'm a fan. I mean, I've been in the CrossFit world for a while, so they kind of took over. But they did recently pull out of being, I think, an official sponsor. So there's a couple new brands that are starting to pop up a little bit. I think Rad shoes are big now. Strive. I'm probably blank. Oh, Go Ruck is the new big shoe that everybody's, because they're the official sponsor now. But the Nobles have been good. They're durable. Not a ton of support, but nice flat shoe. Are good for like squats and stuff like that. But I like them. Next question we got. What type of fitness or workouts do you guys like, just in general for yourself?
I wish I did more. That's my problem. So this is gonna sound horrible. I mean, I usually like to weightlift. That's always been my thing.
Very cool.
So it's been, but I could use some other fitness modalities. I'm sure.
Hey, you got the equipment in the back.
I
You
do.
got
I
some
do.
nice
I do. I
equipment
do. I
here,
try, man. I try. I'm trying. I
Yeah.
swear, I'm trying.
That's good.
So yeah.
Yeah. I walk every day.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
The
love
dogs,
I love to be
yeah.
outside and walking and
That's
you-
huge.
That's
more
one good
like
thing about the dogs, right?
body weight exercises is what I'm
Yeah,
focusing on right
yeah.
now and hand weights.
And the dog likes it too.
Yeah.
Dog loves
Good for
it.
everybody.
Yeah.
They love it. Yeah.
That's great. Next one, I think I know the answer to this already, but favorite sports team?
For me, it's Dallas Cowboys. I'm from Dallas, by the way. I got an excuse. I know,
Right,
so I got an excuse. It would have been easy to be a Patriots fan, by the way.
Yeah.
For the last 25 years, it would have been really easy to be a Patriots fan.
Minus the past 2
But
years.
I've had to suck it up since the mid '90s. So
Right.
I've eaten humble pie for 25 years.
Hey, good for you
but
for
I'm
sticking
still-
by
I'm
him.
st- yeah, I was born there. I mean, my
Oh,
dogs.
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm from there.
Yeah.
Originally, and then my dog's named Dallas too, by the way.
Right,
so
right.
If I didn't mention that. So,
I think we talked off air. I was just in Dallas a week ago for the PT conference,
Yeah.
and I got to see the
stadium.
stadium facilities a little bit, and they definitely
It's
didn't
wild.
spare any dimes there.
Yeah,
There's-
no, it's
Yeah,
wild.
It's, like
It's out of
very nice
control.
place.
That screen is out of control.
They've got the
Yeah.
money, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
Paying Dak $260 million or something obnoxious.
Hope they do good this season for you. We'll see.
They got spanked by I believe it, the Saints.
Oh, that's tough.
spanked.
That's tough.
Yeah, it was
Well,
rough.
it's early. We'll
It's
see
right.
what
Yeah, I know
happens.
it's 2.
Is it same answer, Dallas? Or?
No, I'm a New
No.
Englander,
Oh, yeah,
so
all right,
yeah.
nice.
I'm a Red Sox, Patriot, Celtics.
Cool. All right, that'll make for some fun Sundays.
She's good.
All right, so that's it for the rapid fire. So getting into a little bit of the backstory first. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it enough. You guys have a beautiful facility here.
Thank you.
Thank
I've
you.
done float before a little bit, and I don't even want to call it float because it was totally different from what I experienced here. Like I walked in, I saw the pod. I'm like, this is the Ferrari of float pods. Like this thing is awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys have done an awesome job, and I had a great experience doing the float this morning. But to get to the backstory a little bit, how did you guys end up starting? How did you make the decision, like, oh, I want to go into the float business or float world, open up our own place?
Yeah, so I actually is the one that kind of started floating years ago. We've been together for about 5 years now, a little over 5 years. So many years ago, this place opened in 2017. I was listening to a Rogan podcast. I was in a world of hurt, just of just a mess of a person, quite frankly. You know?
Totally.
And for a lot of different reasons, ex-military, a lot of different other reasons. And so I was looking for some kind of modality to just save my life, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I was kind of falling from a tree and trying to grab any branch before I hit bottom, you know? So, and I was never really into what people call the woo-woo stuff,
Sure.
if you will. But again, I'm hearing Rogan talk about it. I'm like, I'll try anything once. So I tried it. I came here specifically, which is funny. So I come here, get in the tank, have no clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just like everybody in the float tank. I think we do a really good job explaining it, though, quite frankly.
I agree.
Now I think we do an excellent job. So that being said, the last 10 minutes of that float, I fell into what I call the pocket. And the pocket to me is that realm between consciousness and sleep, that meditation world, And I fell into it. And once I hit it, I was like, there's something more to be explored. I'm very inquisitive by nature. I'm also an engineer by trade. So I'm always like trying to get to the truth of things, if you will. And so when that happened, I had like an outer body experience quite frankly, an out-of-body experience,
Yeah.
I was like, well, what is this?
Yeah.
So then I kept on exploring it over those years.
He introduced me to it after we met. I started floating.
Correct. And then we went through the pandemic, obviously, and I think everybody
reevaluated
the life choices. I think a lot of us did, and if you didn't, I feel sorry for you. But, there's always time.
Yeah.
So... we went through the pandemic, and obviously a lot of us hunkered down, like, what we were supposed to. We did all the right things, and so that's all good.
So we started talking about, like, how great floating is, how much the world needs it, how much it helped the both of us, and it's something that we're both really, really passionate about. So we were like, let's start it. I always wanted to own my own business.
Sure.
Always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So we're like, we should start our own business. So after we came out of the pandemic, we just started kind of hunkering down and doing research. I went to a float conference in 2021.
What was that, Minnesota or Minneapolis?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
I did a 3-day how to start your own float center course.
Nice.
Met a bunch of really cool people. And I knew, I was like, this is my tribe. These are my people. This is it. Came back, we started planning, and then...
Okay, so this is the weird part of this whole story. So I was mainly into like high level management positions as a career. I basically did like either plant management or operations, or for large corporations. One of the companies I was part of is $5 billion. I ran boardroom meetings. I'm just trying to outlay my world for you and so like that. So I like tattoos a lot.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of tattoos that are hidden.
Sure.
And I was at the point where I just didn't care anymore. And I was so apt to either start a float center by scratch or whatever, but I wanted to get away from that world. So I was like,
we were in it. We were ready.
So we're in it for real. I was like, I call my tattoo guy up. 1001 Troubles in Warren, Rhode Island. That's a plug for you. So excellent dude, this guy Fred. I talked to him on the phone. He's like, hey, what have you been doing? I haven't seen you since the pandemic, because before. And he goes, I go, me and Lindy are trying to start a float center. And he goes, wow, that's weird, dude. This guy, that's how he talks to me. Swear to God, 100%.
Yeah.
So this weird dude, I go, this guy's trying to sell a float center.
Huh.
I said, whoa. I go, it's not Float RI. He goes, yeah, this dude the other day came in here and he wants to sell Float RI. I said, what? Okay, so yeah, this is true. This is 100% true story.
Yeah.
So, and then I knew Fred.
Yeah.
I love him to death.
I was like, make sure, tell Fred to connect us, do this, stay on him.
So obviously he doesn't. So it's funny.
Yeah.
So I cold email her.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth. The owner happens to get the email.
Yeah.
We go back and forth. She realizes I'm a really passionate floater who's been here a lot.
Like, oh, I know you. Yeah.
Well, we never met, believe
Oh,
it or not. The
gotcha.
guy that used to be here, that used to run the desk, this guy, John, excellent dude.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, passed away, but
Mhm.
that's beside the point.
Mhm.
And so I get in contact with her.
Mhm.
We go back and forth. We have a really great rapport. We end up closing the business deal 8 months later.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how that
Yeah.
whole, that's how the business kind of happened for us. And I always have this real big logic, especially nowadays,
Sure.
is that if you're really true about your heart,
Yeah.
your path you'll find your path.
It opens
Yeah.
up for
And
you.
once you're in your path, you'll feel you're in that groove.
Sure. Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think if you follow your heart in that way,
Yeah.
you will get to your ultimate
Things
destination.
will start happening.
Correct.
That's
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool how it happened. Like, you guys were already dead set on making it happen, and then things just started opportunities just started.
The universe,
arising.
the universe lined up for us. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
And I believe, quite frankly,
Yeah.
I believe that is true for
Sure.
everyone.
Yeah.
Sure.
If I would give anybody a suggestion, I would be like, find something you love
Yeah.
that you really love to do, and learn how to monetize it.
Sure.
And if you can do that, you will be happy. And I don't care if you get super rich. If you can
Right,
live,
right.
but you'll still be the happiest person you know.
That's really cool. Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's great advice. So so you guys opened the place. What you said, 2020
Two.
or 2022?
Okay.
May of
So it's about
2022.
roughly 2.5 years. Close. Right.
Very
Yeah.
very cool. And then you mentioned it already, but you use floating for yourselves to kind of like I mean, you found the benefit of it, and you just both you went all in. You loved it.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the, kind of skipping ahead a little bit, because I want to talk about my experience today too, but what are some of the benefits that you've personally found for yourself that you've really liked about floating?
So for me, I suffer from chronic migraines.
Sure.
I can get anywhere from I don't know, 3 to 5 a week.
Yeah.
When I have a regular float schedule,
Sure.
that reduces significantly.
Awesome.
I also have a lot of pain in my neck and my back, got
Sure.
some disc issues, whatever. So my daily amount of physical pain is reduced when I stay on a good float schedule.
Sure.
I get
Right.
a lot of physical benefits
Yeah.
personally. I would say
Yeah.
that's my top. My creativity unlocks like that when I'm in there. So, I'm a very creative person. I do a lot creatively for the business and for my personal.
Yeah.
So it allows me a nice space to go in there and kind of really elevate my thinking
Sure. Sure.
and just quiet my mind and my body. Because I always say to people, I feel like I'm walking around like the computer on my desk. I have all the tabs open.
Yeah.
My brain's constantly going.
Yeah.
I can never shut down. It's really hard for me. So when I go in there, it really allows me what my mind and my body need.
Totally.
So
It's hard to be creative if you're stuck in that sympathetic state. I have so many things to do. I have so much stress.
you get so
really
overwhelmed
can't,
that
yeah.
you get to a point you can't go any further.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. No, that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, so that's me.
Yeah.
Me
kinda
is a little
mentioned it.
different. Me is a
Yeah.
little bit different. So for me, I think it's like an exploration of consciousness,
Sure.
and basically the exploration of expanding your consciousness. Now,
Mhm.
what do I mean by that is that when I first started, I was a complete atheist.
Sure.
I actually, my dog tags in the military, I had atheists on my dog tags. I swear to God. I'm not that way anymore. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not even close. Not even close. Anyway, so now, after my exploration, once I kind of realized that your body can leave, your consciousness can leave your body.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that rules out that your body is the dictator of your consciousness.
Sure.
It's what inherent. Most people think your brain creates the consciousness that you're in.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So what I kind of started to realize was that that's not the truth.
Sure.
That your consciousness lives apart from your body.
Mhm.
Therefore, if your consciousness lives apart from your body, there's a lot more than I was naive to
Sure.
about what reality really is.
Yeah, so much untapped.
Untapped
Yeah.
things. And then so once I started getting that down, this is over 7 years, by the way. So this is not overnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just like a realization
Sure.
over years.
Sure.
But once I started getting that stuff down, I started realizing that my notions were wrong. And then I started keep on getting diving deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm super spiritual now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super spiritual.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been such an evolution with him, just in terms, even with like PTSD from the military.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was a combat medic, lots of super high stress stuff. So I think the float tank was one of the first things that helped kind of unlock some of that.
Yep.
And the transformation, I would say, for
I'm not
him
even the same person.
has been
I'm not even the
insane.
same person.
It's
I'd be the guy in the room that be like, I'd want my back to the wall. I'd want to be looking at everybody. I'm not even, that person's dead.
Yeah. That's really cool.
You know, in a good way.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you can find a lot of different. And by the way, but I don't want to. I don't want everybody to go, oh my God, this is spiritual.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits
Totally.
to floating.
Yeah.
Besides, there's a meditation level benefit that I'm talking about.
Right.
And some people have like a lot more intuitive reaction to floating than others. So I always say some people's consciousnesses are it's like an aperture in a camera.
Yeah.
Think about this. So like your exposure is either this, or if your exposure is wide open, and you get into a tank, you're gonna have an experience like whoa. But if you can open your aperture over time,
right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it elevates over time. But I think you've got 3 segments. You've got your physical health and well-being, your mental health and well-being, and then your spiritual health and well-being.
Sure.
And it can tackle any and all of those.
Yeah.
And gives you what you need. I always say when you go in the pod, you get what you need from it, and it's different every time for me.
That was the 2 things that jumped out to me right from the start when I went in. And I guess quick backstory. I don't think I said it on air. I said it off air. I've done the float before, but it was a different facility and wasn't the same as it was here. The heat was a little off, and it didn't allow me to like really fully experience it.
It's a 1980 Toyota Camry.
So if you've done float somewhere else before and it didn't find a good experience from it, like try it here.
Try it again.
Is what my big point for that. But anyway, so when I went in, those are the 2 things that I kind of like jumped out first to me. Well, actually, even to backtrack a little more, I was like, the whole like idea of like sensory deprivation is really exciting to me, but also a little scary. So I don't know if a lot of people have like the same like am I gonna hallucinate, like stuff like that.
Well, the anticipatory anxiety that people get coming in is real,
right?
And we always say I say we should take pictures of people when they come in because they've got this nervous energy, either excitement or anxiety or whatever, and then they come out. And it's like the lightness we see from people, the smiles, the levity. Like it's really like they're floating out.
There's. I mean, I really believe like now. I believe.
Yeah.
Little woo woo stuff here. Like there's an energy field that people give off.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. I mean, you are an energy being. I don't care what anybody says.
Made of energy.
Even from because I'm an engineer, so I love physics and I love quantum physics and I love all this stuff and I can dive into that.
Yeah.
But so just by nature, you can actually see an energy like. Frequency change.
That's cool.
It's really
and it's like they're giving off a different energy, and most people intuitively know this.
Sure.
It's not just body language that people read. People can read an energy field.
Yeah.
And the more we start opening ourselves up to these little truisms that we've buried over the last 2,000 years,
like it's your intuition,
Those things you can feel it, and you can feel it when they walk out. It's like a different thing.
Yeah.
All together.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be 100% upfront with everybody, too. Like, there's 5 or 10% of people that just can't get out of their head.
Sure.
They get in there, and they'll get out 15 minutes after. I'm like, whoa, what happened? And they're like, I just can't get out, And it makes me feel sad for those people, really, because it's like.
Right.
And one guy came out one time, it was funny. It's like, I can't be with myself for more than 15 minutes. And I looked at him like, who are you with all day?
Right.
So
those are, I mean.
It's rare. It's rare.
I almost feel like those are the people that probably need it the most.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I do believe that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say.
And it's a practice. So it's people that like that need it. That would just take it as any other practice. You do it for 15 minutes this time. Next time you're going to do it for 20, and then you're going to do it for 30, and you get better and build over time.
Totally. It's just like anything.
That's what you need.
You do free throws. You don't. I'm not. But if I practice 10,000 free throws, I'm going to get a lot better at it.
Yeah.
It's just like anything. You're just going to get better the more you do it.
Totally. Yeah. And that was definitely something I noticed. Like as I came out, like when I said I came out, I'm like, wow, was I in there for an hour or 20 minutes? And just time, just you lose concept of time.
Yeah.
Like if you're in that deep meditative state,
Mm-hmm.
which I definitely hit that. But yeah, I was trying to like as I'm going in, I'm like, all right, so I want to kind of like experience, trying to take in everything like from sensation wise to like be able to talk about it on the podcast too. But like kind of like just trying to take a note of everything, and I use the breathing technique, like you guys said, like the box breathing, like trying to, and that was helpful for me for the meditation piece of it because your mind does wander, and then for me because I haven't done it a lot, I'm not practiced with it, so my mind wandered a lot. So I kept bringing, and it worked like a charm. You start focusing on breathing, you come right back to center, and you start to kind of like
Because I
get
think
into
what
that
it
state.
does, I mean, what I was kind of like alluding to when we
Yeah.
were talking in the tank was like, I think what it does is centers your concentration on something that's body function, and your mind's not wandering off in 10,000 different
Internal
directions.
rather than
And,
external.
when you're basically concentrating your breathing, and then what I do is I kind of concentrate on my breathing, and then I try to get to my heart, and once I get to my heart, then I start falling into that meditation state.
Sure.
Because then, I think to get into a meditation state is the absence of thought.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People, I don't think it's intuitive.
Right.
People like try to like have a mantra, and that works too.
Yeah.
But it's at some point, it's really the absence of thought that leads you into a meditation state, and you see where that takes you.
Yeah. I think
Does
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's cool because I was thinking a little bit like there's different types of meditation out there. Like some are like guided meditation, focusing on a certain thing, like using mantras. This felt very much like just reach that from my experience, I should say. Probably it's not the same for everybody, but it felt very much like achieve that, like almost like remove all the wandering thoughts and just like be at peace type of meditation for me anyway. And it was hard. Semi hard to do, but then once I hit it, I'm like it was like you said, I'm almost in a different galaxy. In a way.
So this is what I found out. So since I've been floating, and now that we've owned the business for quite a few years now, what I when you float individual, you go, is this just happening to me?
Yeah.
You don't know because you're the only person. You might float to somebody, talk to somebody who floats, but a collective.
Right.
But from my experience, what we found over the years is that it's a very true phenomenon.
Yeah.
That people, if you look through the book, we have books in the back where people will journal. We don't ask people to journal. We just leave a book out with a pen, and they will come up with like full page essays of their experience in the float tank. And if you read through them, which I have, and we got, it's thousands of passages now, right? It's a very similar. You can pick out. You can pick out like and make a collage of this whole thing of an experience that is very similar. So it tells me the phenomenon of floating and that practice of meditation, that people are having very similar experiences.
Yeah.
So that leads me to the path that this is something that is really good for everybody. Really, I think everybody should float.
Sure.
It
almost, I don't want to use the word like biohack because I feel like that's kind of like a trendy term.
It's a trendy word, but I think it's true.
The outcome is what you're looking for.
Just because something's trendy doesn't mean it's not true, right?
But I kind of feel like I was able to, like, in my mind, I was going like, this is probably the level of meditation that like monks are achieving out in like the Himalayas. That, they spent 8 hours trying to hit, and I was able to hit it in like 20, 30 minutes. Probably a similar like.
And the thing
depth.
is, now I go in now, and I'm like, I'm out in space in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Typically,
right.
Does it happen every single float? No, but I would say 90%.
You're good at it. You practice it,
Yeah, over time, but then you have a technique. You learn how to get down to your pipe, And for me, the technique I showed you is the one I use. Right. So
it's really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
The other piece of that. So there's the meditative piece that I really took note of. Like, wow, this is cool that I'm tapping into this. The other piece was the physical piece. Like kind of you had mentioned, like coming from a physical therapy mindset or world, there are a ton of techniques and modalities that we use to like promote muscle relaxation, whether it's massage, dry needling, electric stim, like types of meditation and breathing. But what I found in there, I'm like, there's nothing really else out there that's like allows you, because even if you're laying on the ground, there's stimulus from the ground. But the flotation, there's nothing else that I could think of that, even like hanging from a bar, like for your back, like traction, you're still getting stimulus. There's nothing that allows you to completely remove stimulus to allow like a pure relaxation.
Yeah, like
It's
all the
that.
pressure is removed. So
Yeah.
when you're laying there floating, your body's under no pressure. It's really taking that hour plus, or depending on how long of a float you're doing, to reset your circuitry.
Sure, totally.
So,
yeah.
so this is what I theorize, at least about what I witnessed. 'Cause
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it primarily for the pain management,
Sure,
because I wasn't. Thankfully, I was not
physical pain.
a physical pain guy.
sure.
I mean, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who are, and so what I witnessed over time, what I can think of, and then I finally had it happen to me, and I'll explain that story in a second. Is that when you basically take all the stress out of the system is then allowed to basically reset itself.
Sure.
Like, let's say your back is under complete stress, like,
Yeah.
and that's where you get this back pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you take that stress off for a given period of time. It allows that to basically reset itself. That's what you guys are trying to do.
yeah. Yeah.
And massage therapists are trying to do the same
Right.
thing. You guys are all trying to get to the same place.
Yeah, we're all working
Right.
it
in the
trying
same
to do
way,
Totally.
So I think, honestly, like, a great thing to benefit like physical therapists.
Yeah.
Now, like, I'm thinking this on top of my head, by the way,
Yeah.
is would be something, a modality like this.
Yeah.
You know, because you're trying to get to the same place. You're
Yeah.
trying to reset that muscle structure so it's basically not under tension anymore, so it doesn't provide pain and inflammation.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah.
So, like, I think that modality that's why it's happening.
So
yeah.
you've got the Epsom salt, helps with detoxification,
Mhm.
Right.
muscle relaxation, which is great.
Right.
Yeah. So, I want to say about 3 months ago, I really hurt my back pretty bad, where I was in pain for a good 3 days.
Sure.
Solid lower back, and I never had lower.
Yeah.
I just she laughs at me like, "What are you talking?" Like, she's in pain all the time, and
Yeah.
I just don't understand it, obviously. And so I was like, "I'm gonna float." So I go on a float, and I've seen it work for everybody else, but seeing is believing. I'm gonna tell you, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And then so I got in the tank, had my regular meditation thing, all went well. Got out of the tank, pain completely gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
totally.
I was like, whoa.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is incredible, because I was in a lot of pain. I was like, I thought it really messed myself up.
No. Yeah.
And
I believe it.
Yeah, so
That's why it's so great for people who are in chronic pain,
Right,
athletes
right.
who are training hard.
Yeah.
It's a
Totally.
great recovery tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, one of the things that is sometimes prescribed for like a muscle spasm, especially necks and low backs, is a medication like a muscle relaxer,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of basically
It's probably trying to probably simulate
Yeah.
what's happening in a float tank, but
Right.
poorly.
yeah, right.
Because then
Right.
you get groggy and you have the side
Yeah,
effects and
yeah.
you feel,
Yeah.
a certain way, and it's putting a Band-Aid over the root cause rather than like
Yeah.
addressing
The
the
root
root
cause,
cause.
Right. So I'm like, that would be a good alternative to something like that.
Yeah.
Because they do work. It's like it's different than taking like a Vicodin or a Percocet, which is
But-
purely a pain. The muscle relaxer will actually help the muscle relax, obviously. But this would be a great alternative, because I think you'd probably achieve a similar stimulus.
So it's funny. It's
Absolutely.
funny.
Yeah.
Like, I always tell people is that, like, they'll look like they're on a sedative
sure
coming
sure.
out. Like, it looks like it's like it releases like a natural sedative in your system.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
witnesses it all the time too. You say the same thing. It's like, it looks like somebody's like they took a sedative. Some people
I
can't
mean it.
drive
Sure. I believe
for like
that.
a half hour after
I
they're
believe
done.
that.
They can't drive.
We have the relaxation
Yeah.
room.
For a
People chill
reason.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just chill out for a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been one of those people. I've been like, I can't drive right now.
Right.
So yeah.
Right,
So, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And to not to beat that horse to death, but a similar like with massage, like you can kind of get like that zoned out feeling like
Mhm.
after massage too. So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
very
yeah.
similar effect. I want to kind of get into some of the. You guys had a good, great website by the way, a good section on the website talking about like frequently asked questions about the float tank, which. I think a lot of people just in general have questions about it because it's a really interesting type of modality to use. So one of them we already kind of touched upon, but I'm going to list them out just in case you guys have anything else to expand on. But what types of conditions can it help? Can it help with treating essentially anxiety? Is a big one, which makes a lot of sense to me. We talked a little bit about the having all those tabs open and like kind of shutting those down and click and reset. And probably a big part is also that the cortisol level, like hormone levels in the body, or like if you're stuck in that like fight or flight, like stress, like that can help you like maybe just like reset and like and shut down and get you more into like parasympathetic rest digest phase. So a very cool a very cool thing they can do. Sleep. Sleep is another one. So I think I know the answer, or maybe a piece of this, but how can it help sleep as far as the float tank?
Yeah. So I mean, what they say right now is about about 1 hour in the float tank.
Yeah.
Is about 4 hours of sleep recovery.
Sure.
So you're resetting your
Yeah,
nervous system
yeah.
to a point where you're actually kind of gaining sleep time
Makes
in the
sense.
pod.
Right.
And because it puts you in such a relaxed state, you're
Right.
releasing toxins, you're getting relaxed, you're just relaxing your whole physical person.
Yeah.
When
yeah.
you go to sleep the night after your float or
Right.
following your float,
So great.
Totally.
you're going to get into a deeper sleep pattern.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
I like that. Less stress, like feel better, sleep better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those all are connected, right?
Yeah.
Enhancing focus or cognition.
I would say, yeah. So some, I would say, I always say if people can't turn off their brain in a float tank, I always give them a suggestion. I say, go in with a problem, you'll come out with a solution.
Sure.
100%.
Sure.
You're basically, if you go in and you're trying to solve one thing. Because it like almost comes from the ether.
Sure.
These. Well, I really do believe that. I mean, there's
I've experienced
a lot of
yeah.
ideas just come. The best ideas you ever have like come out of nowhere, and they don't have any context with anything of your education or your background. You're not putting multiple ideas together to make an idea. It's like this original. Where does that come from? You tell me.
Right.
All right. So you can get that in a float tank.
Like
for
when
sure.
people are studying for tests,
Yeah,
they
it's
come in.
pretty
It almost
true.
helps it like resonate into
their brain.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Because they say like when you're studying, it's like when you sleep, a lot of that stuff it gets more like solidified, like into your memory or whatever. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be my take on that
And
question.
another side point on that makes sense is a lot of your what your thoughts or good ideas happen in the shower because there's no other stimulus. Well, less stimulus.
Less
going
stimulus.
On, so
That's what I'm trying to say.
another
You
example,
take all that.
Yeah.
Can you think about what you're doing in a float tank? You're basically, this is what you're taking away your skin sensory. Right. So it's a major, it's one of the largest organs. It's the largest organ of your body. It's taking in data all the time. Now, what people don't realize is that your brain basically ciphers that data down. The 100% of data that comes in, it takes about 10% of the data.
Yeah.
And that's what you're really presenting because it would just be overwhelming for a human being to actually figure that out. But so you take your skin senses away, you're taking your eye senses away, you're taking all these senses away. That gives you more power, computational power in your brain.
Right.
So you're taking it doesn't need. It's not. You have more resources in your head that aren't being using processing power.
Right.
I always think of
towards other
I always
things.
think I always look
Sound.
at I always think of like a human brain like a computer.
Yeah.
If I have 20,000 tabs open.
Yeah.
To your point.
Yeah.
It's just sucking up processing power.
Yeah.
You shut down all those tabs, you only have one tab open.
You run better.
You run better.
Yeah.
That's I try to come back to your tab
like
thing.
That.
Yeah.
I like that. That was good.
Yeah. So.
Something else you mentioned, another side tangent, was this kind of brought back a memory, which I think that probably happens a decent amount in the float tank. You like unlock some of these memories that you might have not have had. But when I don't think this happened since then or not very frequently. When I close my eyes versus when I open my eyes, it's the same. It's just complete blackness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think the last time I remember this was like when I was in Boy Scouts and we went like camping out in the woods, like, and it was so dark in the tent. There was like open eyes, closed eyes. I'm like, it's the same thing. I'm like,
right.
Wow, it's like dark, because you never experience that like on a normal day-to-day basis. Like even at home sleeping, it's not that dark.
No.
Yeah.
That's it. You're taking away your eyes.
Yeah.
So then you're not really processing. Even your eyes are open.
Yeah.
You're processing black, so there's not a lot of data coming in.
Sure.
So there's my open tab thing.
Yeah.
There you go. We're back again.
This one we touched on a lot already. That physical tension that you can definitely just relax.
Yeah.
And you mentioned even like the migraines. From a PT's perspective, we know at least one of the causes for a lot of migraines is just general tension through the neck, through the head. So that to me that makes a lot of sense, but probably stress related as well.
Stress too.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like 80. I don't. The statistic might be wrong, but around 85% of people are magnesium deficient. So in the pod, you've got 850 pounds of medical grade Epsom salt. You're getting some transdermal
Right.
magnesium.
Yeah. Very cool.
So
Yeah.
it's helping.
Yeah.
That's helping there too.
Totally. And then the one of the last things we had listed here was immune function. So that to me makes sense a lot too. That you're able to, if you're on go all the time, your immune system gets shot. So it's
I would think that, to your point when you say your cortisol levels are really up high, I think that does reduce your immune function. And I am not I'm not an expert in this realm, so but that's what
for sure.
as far as
you're more susceptible to getting sick. If you're in that stress mode all the time.
I would think that you're more susceptible to.
Absolutely, you can't recover properly. Body's working harder.
Right.
Immune system takes a back seat.
Yeah,
for sure.
A good thing too is we have that salt therapy sauna.
Yes.
Which is phenomenal. Like you're breathing in. I'm kind of taking a tangent. Sorry.
No, hit it. Yeah.
But we have that, which is during like cold and flu season. I'm in there every day.
Yeah.
It just clears out your respiratory tract, so it's mitigating.
In that salt and shit. It's pretty. It's worked.
Yeah.
It's worked.
Yeah.
I have not. I can't remember the last time I've been sick where. Since we bought that thing.
We've been really lucky, and we use it
a lot,
especially during cold and flu season.
Yeah.
Totally.
I just had a woman come in the other day. Her doctor recommended she find dry salt therapy.
Right,
she was in an asthma flare. Couldn't even go to work. Was out of work the whole week. She came in. She did the salt therapy. She said she was like, I can breathe better. I can breathe for the first time in.
That's huge.
I said, well, it's not a one and done, so just
keep going.
Come a few times so that you can stay feeling good.
And another thing too, I think that everybody should know is that this is not a one and done type therapy. And I know we're the business owners, and I get it.
Sure.
But I'm just saying from a perspective of actual, like you're trying to help yourself.
Benefit. It's a practice.
If you're looking for the really benefit, some people come in here and be like, oh my God, I didn't get like to Nirvana. The first, I'm like, well, it takes some time,
right,
and you got to work on that. It's that aperture thing. You gotta, you gotta
keep building it.
Get that aperture open a little bit. Some people are damn near closed, and so I would say that would be another thing I'd like to point out there. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So a couple other questions. We kind of brushed over this a little bit, but just I think good just general questions about the float tank. So how long do people usually go in there? And it probably depends, but I say on average, or what are the options?
Typical is an hour.
Yeah.
Then we go up from there, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Some people really love the 90-minute one because some people have trouble getting into that place, and it takes them a little bit longer. But if you give yourself a little more time.
So you have like that first half hour to just
this is the feedback I'm getting off of our clients. A lot of the 90-minute people that I've been talking to them about.
Yeah.
They say it takes me a little longer.
Totally.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And some people like I said, I'm a rocket. I'm in and out. But not everybody's like that.
What's the longest somebody's gone?
2 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours. Yeah.
Have we anything around 2?
I don't know if we've had a 3 hour.
We have 3 hours, but I don't think we've ever done one.
Yeah, I think 2 hours.
2 hours. 2 hours is a lot. We have quite a few that people do
2 hours.
Yeah, we got quite a few clients that only do 2 hours.
Sure. I mean, from being there for an hour, I could definitely see like 2 plus hours being a totally valid option.
Oh, of course, 100%.
There are other float centers that are open like 24 hours, and they have like overnight floats.
Wow.
Because people have stayed in like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And floated overnight. Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
More of a like technical question, but just compared to like other facilities that are out there, how do you guys take care of like the facilities, the cleaning? I saw you guys do like a yearly like kind of like clean out that you do, like as far as like keeping the water sanitized and all that stuff.
Oh well, yeah. So we our filtration systems are top notch. So we basically have a micron filtration system, ozoners. We use per state law. We use chlorines. that water is tested and tested.
We're required to test it by the state
every
hour and a half. So between each
wow.
guest, we kind of give it a test.
Wow.
We're making sure the levels are right. We're making sure the temperature's right.
Right, and we send bacteria samples for bacterial testing to a third-party lab that reports to the state.
Wow.
And so there's a chain of custody and all that stuff as well. We have hit 0 on every single. So just to give you an idea, a pool. This might gross some people out. Sorry. Hey, you asked.
Yeah.
So, there you go. So a pool.
Yeah.
Is 500. That's the rate of
threshold,
that's the limit.
Sure.
So basically, you put a sample and they give it through so many cycles. I think people have heard this through the pandemic. They'll let it repeat so many times and see how much the total culture will be.
Sure.
That makes sense. So it's 500 for a pool.
And that's like a number like bacteria per.
Yeah, so there's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Float tanks are 200.
Okay. Yeah.
That's by law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had 0.
Zero. None. That's great.
And I had a 2I water license in the state of Massachusetts.
Okay.
For a while for one of my positions, so I understand water chemistry.
Sure.
Extremely well, I would think. Compared to most.
Right.
I'm sure there's experts that are better than me. I gotcha. But as far as we go, we do an excellent job.
Yeah. So between the filtration system, the ozonator, the UV light, just sheer amount of Epsom
the UV
salt.
light. Sorry. We have
that's
UV
in
light
there.
on there too. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Really
so,
cool.
Yeah.
So
we keep it as clean. Yeah.
And then I'm cuckoo crazy about making sure everything in the facility
No,
is.
I could tell. Like, you walk
crazy.
in, it's like the place is pristine.
Pristine.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Pristine.
pristine,
And
yeah.
when I say when the queen basically she
I notice everything.
I mean everything.
And I think that's important when you're coming
It's
to
good, it's
a
good.
wellness
Yeah,
space. You want to,
Yeah, but we know it's just like your home, right? So it's just like your home. Like when you go in, you know every little flaw in your house.
Sure,
right? Everybody
sure.
does.
Yeah.
But when the guests come in, they don't notice it, right?
Right.
So we want to keep it so nice that there's no flaws in this place.
Sure.
At all.
Yeah.
So a guest can't possibly find a flaw.
So like
That's her thing.
we received
Does that make
it.
sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
A guest feedback the other day, and it was like, "Oh, the facility's so clean, we could eat off the floor." And I was like, "Yep, that's what I want to hear."
Literally.
Yes.
Exactly.
Literally.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
A question that I think I may have touched upon. I can't remember at this point now. Claustrophobia is another thing that I think people are nervous about. And I guess I want to say quickly from my experience, like you guys did a really great job of like explaining like, here's the lights, here's the music, go in there, like move around, stretch a little bit, like get comfortable. And then like if you want to go into the full sensory deprivation, click the button here, and you're good to go. The latch opens with a touch of a fingertips if you need to get out, like stuff like that. So it made me feel like, obviously being in a tank that I'd never been in before also is like, oh, I don't like, but I was definitely felt completely at ease. I'm not that I'm claustrophobic, but it was yeah.
But I would say that is probably one of the top like pre-anxieties coming in. Am I going to be claustrophobic? I think a lot of people come in with the notion thinking it's going to be the size of a tanning bed or an MRI booth.
Sure.
But really, our
big.
our pods are big. They're about 8 feet long, about 6 feet wide. It's got that dome.
Yep.
So you definitely feel like it's a warm hug, like I say.
Yeah.
But you don't feel stifled, I guess,
No.
in there or uncomfortable.
So what I went through with you, by the way, that was nothing special.
Yeah.
I do that with every client.
Sure.
100%. So everything I explained to you is exactly the routine I give for everybody, right?
Totally.
So one of the things I like to demo is the actual working of the pod lid
Mm-hmm.
to see how easy that opens. A lot of people fear that pod lid shuts and like they can't get out.
Right. It never
It's
locks.
like it never. It's just.
You're
and
in
I
control.
like to demo that. I also like to go over, especially if I sense the person is very anxious.
Yeah.
And you can sense it. Trust me.
Yeah.
If you do it enough.
Yeah.
And you sense that person, you might want to spend a little extra time with them and say, in blackout mode.
Yeah.
By the way, it feels like you're in outer space.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like you're in a tank.
No.
It's almost like there's infinite amount of
Infinite
room.
space.
Right.
It's the exact opposite of what you're gonna think as a claustrophobic person. Like
Sure.
if
Yeah.
you stick me head first in an MRI, which I have unfortunately been head first in an MRI,
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah.
That is very uncomfortable. I'm worried about how am I gonna crawl out of here.
Yeah.
All that stuff. This is not the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I would spend extra time with that person to make sure.
Sure.
And then, if that person is very anxious, then we'd give them an option. It's their float,
Yeah.
not my float. It's their float. So if they want to leave that pod lid up,
Sure.
they're more than
They
welcome
can.
to.
Yeah.
I would also explain to them, though, if they do that temperature profile that makes it very critical to basically lose your skin profile, if you will, lose that sensory thing. You felt that a little
lose
bit.
sense of where you
definitely.
are.
Definitely.
Right. So that temperature profile is important, and I would explain to them why it's a benefit to keep it closed.
Sure.
Sometimes they'll put a noodle in. We'll offer them a noodle, and they can put it in between where the pod lid closes, and it gives a little gap.
Sure.
So you have a little pocket of air.
Gives a little
flow.
bit of
Security.
security.
Yeah.
Security.
Yeah.
So we work with our clients.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
we really try to go over all the options
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that,
And we work with clients, especially you. You work with clients where basically, they wouldn't close the lid to the point now.
they
talking
go,
about.
they go.
Now
They
they're
go
like,
in
"All
now.
right."
Yeah. Well, this is
Yeah.
over a period of time, and it's like
Yeah.
this, and now that person straight in, no problems at all.
Yeah.
Anxiety.
I mean,
is
it's an
pretty much gone.
it's an evolution of the
evolution.
practice.
It's an
Right.
you
But
know?
we take our time with people, so
Yeah.
and if I sense they're anxious, and I know she does the same thing, that's how we kind of handle it.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. There's something else you mentioned on there that that sparked my memory a little bit. I've always been a person who has never been able to float very easily. So
Me too.
So
Me
when
too.
I even in the ocean, it's I have friends who just float up in the water. I'm like, damn,
I'm
can I
a
float?
rock. I'm a rock.
Yeah.
Just float
So,
right on the bottom.
So it wasn't on the front of my mind, but I think it was subconscious. When I got in there, I'm like, I wonder if I'm gonna be able to float very well. And but there's so much salt in there.
Yeah.
It's such a weird, cool feeling that it's wow, I'm incredibly buoyant.
Yeah. Well, I guess because
Yeah.
we put the salt in.
Yeah.
So if you when we put the salt in, it's obnoxious how much it is. Half that tank is salt. What you're looking
Yeah.
at, so it's 10 inches of water.
Yeah.
And half of that is actual salt.
Wow.
So when we put the salt in first, then we put the water
Right.
to get the height right. But you say it's probably an accurate statement.
Yeah, I have a display right out
we
there.
have a
You can
display
check
right
it
there.
out.
We have a
Yeah.
display right there.
It's a lot of salt.
So yeah, there's that.
That's cool. Another common question that you guys had was pregnancy, because that's always one that's a little hit or miss. Am I okay to do it? Am I not okay to do
All right,
it?
Yeah, so I mean, it can be very beneficial for expectant moms.
Yeah.
We always say check with your physician.
Sure. All
the
First
time.
and
Sure, all the
foremost,
time.
no matter
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
if you have any
yeah.
kind of medical condition or you're
Yeah.
curious or you want to just make sure it's for you,
Totally.
check with your physician. Pregnant women have found such benefit from
Yes.
floating. We recommend waiting till after the first trimester
Yep.
and
Yep.
not too far into the third.
Sure. Sure.
But with carrying the extra weight, it can really provide some physical relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then moms to be have written about it in the journals and talk to us about the connection, a different type of connection they feel with the
That's
baby
cool.
in utero while they're in the
That's
pod, which is
cool.
pretty cool.
That's
Okay,
really cool.
this is a funny little thing. So the first, this is just my sense, and this is my sense only.
Yeah.
Is when I first got into a float pod, the first time I did it, the first sense I had was, oh, this feels oddly familiar. And the first sense I had was, this is what's must like
Yeah.
being in the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of
But
people
you
say
think
that.
about
Yeah.
a pregnant woman who's basically
Got something in
layers
the womb.
layers
and
of
then,
and
Right.
feeling it, like maybe there's a, and again
Yeah.
this is really out there, but
Yeah,
maybe there's
yeah.
some kind of
Connection or
like some like
Magical
if you drill down
connection.
further enough,
yeah.
like it puts her in a state where she can really get into a state where she can connect with her unborn baby.
Sure. Yeah, I like that.
And
I like that. Yeah.
Again, that's
Yeah.
wild, and
Yeah.
I make that stuff up on the spot. So
That's good. And some of this stuff we touched on a little bit already. You guys talked about the halotherapy with
Yep.
the heated salt, which
Yep.
is blown into the air, and that's in the infrared sauna.
it's
That's
right in
correct,
our
yeah, yeah.
infrared
It's
sauna
infrared
unit.
sauna,
Yep.
yeah.
You guys also offer different workshops here. You have a space for different providers coming in. I saw you guys have a sound bath coming
Yeah.
up pretty soon.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Which is
wild.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we work with
yeah.
Amanda Hart. She comes in every month, does sound healing. This month it's the autumn equinox. It's kind of
Sweet.
landing, so It's always nice when it connects with different.
Celestial events.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But it's amazing. You just kind of like listen to the music, lay, sway, take it in, and
Yeah, you just
Really
say
cool.
Feel
people
the
just
healing
it's
vibrations.
like a little slumber party. You go
yeah,
in there,
it's kinda
everybody's like
fun.
on the floor, just taking it all in. We provide mats, or you bring your own mat, and you put usually people bring blankets and
Oh yeah, we get all
pillows,
cozy.
and they lay out and they
Cool.
just absorb that sound.
That's
It's
really
wild.
cool.
It's pretty cool. The
Yeah.
whole place is like me. It's like it's vibrating. Yeah, it's neat.
I like that. I've
Yeah.
never tried that before. That's something I gotta check out.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like a similar, or maybe not, but it sounds like a similar idea to this whole like meditative like
Yeah,
Well,
I think-
different
yeah.
frequencies and different
Yeah.
sound frequencies
Yeah.
can heal you in different ways, and they target
Yeah.
different things. So
Gotcha.
the more you kind of peel away and learn about that, it's really interesting how sound can affect you.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I mean one step further than that. I think
Yeah.
scientifically based, when you get to the quantum level, everything is a frequency based item,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
At the molecular level,
Sure.
right? It's a waveform, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, can other waveforms basically tie into that waveform to make corrections?
Right.
You know,
Right.
there's a lot there that people aren't really looking at when you talk about red light therapy and different
Yeah.
light modality therapies, and then you add frequency therapy into that. You know,
Yeah, they
Right.
are really
There's-
all
Right.
wavelengths.
they're
Right.
all real. You're just playing with wavelengths, right? So I mean, there's
Yeah.
more there.
Then
Then-
meets the eye.
And it's more
Or the ear, or the
and it's
ear.
more scientific than
Yeah,
woo
no,
woo.
I'm good with both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because eye and ear, because
Yeah.
light therapy,
Very
air
good.
therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wonder if there's like an ultimate modality where you combined a lot of these kind of modalities together. Like
Sure.
I always had this dream of trying to become an engineer.
Yeah.
So I always try to have this idea of like making a float tank where you're floating and you're getting bombarded with frequency therapy and
Yeah.
light therapy all at once to
Yeah.
like to as an ultimate healing contraption,
Sure.
if you
sure.
will. You know, I was like,
Get
I was
a little
like,
bit of each.
yeah. You
That'd
know,
be
I was like, if anybody's out there, I'm available. I can consult.
Shark Tank will give you a
Yeah,
call.
Yeah,
that's
right.
fine. Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing, and unless I'm missing something added in, the other thing you guys also offer here is the massage. You have- so that another cool. Does anybody go from float tank to massage?
Oh, yeah.
I could see that being a cool.
Oh yeah, that's the way
Oh,
to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either you
Yeah.
do float massage, people will do the infrared sauna and halo,
Sure.
and then go in and float, and then
Then massage.
and then
I had
yeah, the
that
big
the
one.
other day. Like
Yeah.
that's the ultimate right
Yeah,
there. you know,
yeah.
like that's the way to do it. You
hit
go-
all three.
do- That's the way
You're
to
like
do
a
it.
noodle coming
You'll
out.
be like a noodle.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said that.
Oh my god.
There we go.
And
we're-
we have
we're really
Reiki on
linked.
Sundays.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, we're linked.
There we go. All right, so couple wrap up questions, and then we'll get you guys out here. Two studies that you guys actually had listed on your website. I won't read them word for word, but if anyone's looking to see, like, okay, this sounds all good, but what's the research say about
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
You guys have two studies on your website talking about the effects of what flotation can do for stress, depression, anxiety, pain, those types of things with an actual like medical study. So it's like the anecdotal stuff is awesome, but then you have like the scientific stuff, like, hey, this stuff works. So
Oh,
that's
for
cool,
sure,
you know?
for sure. So,
Yeah.
so you,
Yeah,
babe,
I
you
definitely
go on
try
that- on
to
that.
try to keep adding as the studies come
Yeah.
out. I always post them to our social media and stuff, and then I try to add
Yeah.
them to our website. There's definitely studies coming out. Like, there's a lot of research and work being done in this area, in this field. We know it works. The studies are proving that it works.
Yeah.
Whether it's people who are recovering from anorexia
Mm.
and they're using float therapy as part of their
Yeah, I heard
healing
that one.
practice. That was one of the most
That's
recent
cool.
studies.
That's cool.
PTSD, they found a
Yeah.
number of benefits, reducing anxiety. So the science is there. They're continuing to work on it. Hopefully one day this is going to be medically
the
proved.
that they were talking about as the Float Collective, I believe, is that correct? The Float Collective is the one who basically
This is the Float Research Collective and
Collective,
Float
right.
Tank Association are two major players.
Yeah,
in the,
so if
Okay.
you wanna don't take our word for it.
Yeah.
Go look up those organizations, and
they have a list of all the
tons.
studies.
I mean, it's just not just two studies. There's
yeah.
hundreds of
Yeah.
studies,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
and I think they're just to me, I think this will eventually go medical.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
eventually that's
the
but
route there we're as a collective trying to get to.
That's what I'm betting, and she's right, 100%. That's
Yeah.
what the collective is trying to get to too. Because
Totally.
I mean, I don't see how this is not a medical modality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Makes
so
zero
we
sense.
accept flexible spending account
Accounts,
and
yeah.
health savings accounts.
yeah.
So we're
Yep.
at least at that threshold.
Sure.
But what's good and encouraging to see is that doctors are recommending
There you go.
the
Yeah,
therapies
Yeah.
that we're doing here. So I mean, it's a matter of time, just like with acupuncture and
Yep.
massage, never used to be covered,
Yeah.
and now it is. So I
Yeah.
think it's, hopefully less time than more time,
Right.
till we get to that point.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the fact that doctors are recommending it speaks volumes on how beneficial
I
it is.
I think
Yeah.
the real problem with floating is not so much people are not willing to try it. This is they just don't know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really about we need to educate. We're trying to build,
Build the market.
educate people
Yeah.
Right.
Really cool.
that
most
it's
of-
not some crazy thing.
Most of the time when we're out in public and we'll be wearing our shirts and all our gear and whatnot, and people, what is float? And we'll explain it to people, and
Yeah.
I would bet my bottom dollar that 95% of the time that person looks at me like I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and maybe if I mentioned sensory deprivation tanks, they'd be like,
Oh, I saw that on
Yeah.
this show.
Okay,
or-
what
Right.
that weirds people out because the person who basically invented separate sensory deprivation tanks, it was like you had scuba gear on, you're like in.
Really?
Oh,
he
yeah.
was
Okay.
a ketamine freak and all that stuff,
Oh,
and that's fine. I don't care.
interesting.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But and then eventually it became what the industry we have today,
Right.
and it's just not. We're really targeted about how we do things now.
Right.
It's
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. To wrap up, some final questions for you. Anything that's in store for the future, like anything that you're like events or anything that you're really looking forward to, like this year or these coming years. The second question or final question would be one, how can people find you? And then the last one is one that I stole from the Tim Ferriss podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but so you get a favorite quote, mantra, or saying that you can put on a billboard. So we're right next to there's 95 right there, right? Right next to 95. So you get a billboard right on 95 for the day. You can say whatever you want to your like local community. Could be a favorite quote or just could be something that comes to mind. But let's start with anything in store for the future. Anything you guys are excited for? Events? Anything coming up?
We're just trying to grow the business. What I ultimately like to do is get some new modalities in here.
Cool.
I think we're looking at really doing some cool stuff in the future. Really looking forward to educating as many people about this as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think educating
Yeah.
the masses really about what it is and what it can do is probably tops.
Cool.
Like I mentioned before we started this, we've got the space here. We really want to build this into a fully functioning wellness community that offers a variety of complementary services.
Totally.
Right, everything that's here already complements each other.
Yeah.
So whether we get a physical therapist into
Which we
be
didn't even
part
think
of
about that
this,
until
or
now.
an acupuncturist or
Yeah.
reflexologist, we're kind of open to how we're going to expand, knowing that that's our goal. We want to grow and expand
Right.
and help as many people as we can.
Very
There you
cool. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mhm.
All right, billboard. What do you put on the billboard?
As
You want to
the-
go first? I always have one that I always have
Nice.
all the time. I've been using it for years and years and years.
I'm not going to remember the exact quote, but it's like, in the silence is where you find the
Who's it
answers.
from? Who's it
It's-
from? Who's it from?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's basically around that. It's like, in
I
the
love it.
in the silence is
That-
where you get to where you need to go.
I mean, I think that's very fitting for for the
Yeah.
float. So I love that. That's
Yeah.
really good.
And for
So,
you?
like, I'm an engineer, and obviously, I call myself a seeker. Like, I try to seek the truth of reality and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
And I'm always interested in consciousness and things of that nature. No problem can be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it, which is
Gotcha.
Albert Einstein.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if I break that down and paraphrase it, it basically means that if you're the one that created the problem with that level, you need to expand your consciousness to solve that problem, or you need somebody else's consciousness to solve it. So
I love
I
that.
always love it. You need to kind of think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. All right, well, you guys get 2 billboards then. You get them back to back.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Does that qualify? Does that qualify?
Actually, you get one. One's going 95 south, one's going north. You get
north. Yeah.
I love
it. I love it.
But it ties into what we do here.
Yes.
Because
For sure.
I'm a big proponent of expanding human consciousness.
Yeah.
And people, I
In
think
the collective mind.
Yeah, I think people get weird with that too, because I don't think no one really understands what consciousness is.
Sure.
Because
We're all seeking to figure it out.
when we're all trying to seek it to figure it out. So I
Right.
think the expansion of it is probably the most important thing you can do as a human being.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll mic drop with that. Awesome job, guys. Great podcast. Thank you so much for letting me flow earlier.
This was fun, by the way.
Yeah,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
And I'll be back.
Yeah.
So, Rhody Strength podcast. We're signing off.
Bye, guys.
Cool. Awesome. Guys crushed it. Good stuff. Yeah, that was